It really is time they go.
Yeah.
My Lords. My Lords, I'm not a fan of this bill, but I do think that it's time to pass. And I want to respond to the noble Lord Lipsey, who said, quoting, "The elected house must prevail." And he said, "Is that always right?" And the truth is, the elected house must prevail. And yes, that's always right. We are an unelected house.
Are you going to stand for it?
We are an unelected house, and we have a job to do, but at some point it has to be the elected house that decides in a democratic society. But I actually wanted to comment on the remarks made about compassion. I too was disapproved of the members of the other place who tried to suggest that anyone who was arguing against this bill lacked compassion. I think that it's a ridiculous accusation and does not hold. But I also want to make the point that the inference in reply is that anyone who at this point is trying to push the bill lacks compassion is equally as low politically. And it is irritating to have a situation where people start to try and compete with each other in the kindness stakes. This is a very big political issue, which is that this country has lost control of its border and the asylum system is not fit for purpose. This bill, not one I support, is trying to tackle that. No one is doing it because they are lacking in compassion. I also think that there is a fair amount of double standards here, because I have heard in relation to this bill that anyone who supports the bill must be verging on the far right, not just on the right, the far right, doesn't care about anybody crossing in the boats, is actually a racist. I've heard that said by people active in political life. So I would at least call for the remainder of the discussion that we have, that we take each other seriously enough to not just dole out the insults, but to actually say that if we are genuinely committed to tackling the problem of border control, this is the bill that's on the table now. It's been accepted by the House of Commons a second time, and we have to, even if we disagree with it, go along with it. As to the people who've argued this wasn't in the manifesto, the suggestion that there is no public concern about the control of the borders has no finger on the pulse of any public. But it is true there will be elections shortly. And it would seem to me that those people who vote very strongly, this is the worst piece of legislation ever passed, will stand on that in their manifesto and will commit here and now to overturning this bill once it goes through. And then we will see where the votes lie, and then we'll see if the opposition, if it were to become the government, actually stick with that and tear up the bill. Fair dues if they do.
My Lords, I rise to answer one question posed by the noble Lord Carlisle. He asked